Welcome to the Rat Race to 5 podcast, where we discuss money, mindset, real estate investing, and ways to achieve financial independence. Whether you are a rookie or a veteran needing new ideas for investing or creating side hustles, you're in the right place. Here to challenge you to think out of the box, your hosts, Felipe Mejia and Diego Corzo.
Diego, what's up, man? So today we have a really cool guest. It's actually your brother. It's your little brother, if I'm not mistaken. And he just crossed like $1 million in net profit in his business. Can you explain what?
Yeah, man, it's crazy. He finally, so in the last 5 months, they were able to close the $1 million mark, made close to $400,000 in the month of May, and dude, freaking crazy. And what he's been able to do for just being 25 years old, everything he's been able to accomplish, grow his business, hire over 17 employees and AVAs, just so much. And I'm just really excited and proud to be able to have my little brother on the podcast.
Yeah, it's exciting because he's only 25. He's very mature for his age, and he talks like he's been in the game for 20, 30 years, but he's really only been in the game less than a decade. So it's really interesting to hear his perspective and how he's blown past so many wholesalers. And he talks about the 5 pillars that has made him very successful. So if you stick around for the whole thing, you're going to hear the 5 pillars that Gonzalo says makes him $1 million in net profit by 6 months into the year. But no more banter. Let's get right into it. Diego, Gonzalo, the dream team, the brothers. It's interesting because I'm really excited about this podcast, and I'm going to tell you why. So Diego's a realtor, and Gonzalo is everything Diego's not in the professional world, right? So thanks both you guys for coming on here tonight. Diego, my co-host here at Rat Race to 5 podcast, super excited to have your brother, dude. Do you want to introduce him? You want to talk about him?
Yeah, bro. Yeah. Well, to my other bro, I am very excited because this is actually the first time that my brother and I have been on a podcast like this, he's going to be sharing his story, but I'm very excited because his story is very inspiring. And of course, there is a 5-year difference, I think, Gonzalo, right, of us. But seeing his journey, seeing him excel from the moment that he got turned on to the books, the personal development and all that stuff, seeing him take action has been super inspiring for me. And I'm just excited to hear his story. So we can get started.
Let's do it. So Gonzalo, what do you do? Who are you? You're super under the radar on social media, so I'm so glad that I know you. But give us a story. Who are you? Who is Gonzalo? What do you do?
Yeah, so I'm Diego's little bro.
Simple as that. How old are you, Gonzalo?
I am 25 years old. I live in Jacksonville, Florida, and I basically wholesale real estate. So I find off-market properties, and I middleman those deals to other investors. So I've built a team now. We're one of the largest, if not the largest, here in Jacksonville. Last month we did 34 deals. So we're very, very active in wholesaling. Yeah.
How old were you when you got started?
I was 19.
You were 19 years old. And let's fast forward. Last month you did how much in gross sales?
We did 372,000.
372,000. And so far for the year, how much profit have you guys made so far for your team?
The year we're at $1,060,000.
$1,060,000. That is freaking awesome. For being able to be 25 years old and creating a company like that, especially being six years in, of course, but at such a young age. That is just freaking awesome.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. It's a lot of hard work.
So now that we know the numbers, let's backtrack so that we can bring it down kind of to earth, so that regular investors that are interested in wholesaling can kind of see how it all started. Because I'm assuming you didn't start making millions of dollars, right? So can you take us back to the beginning and how this all started for you at such a young age?
Yeah, so it all started when I was in college, and my older brother Diego was like getting into real estate. He got his real estate license. Um, he was buying properties with my dad. He had just bought like a rental property with my dad. And my family's in the restaurant business, so I never wanted to be in the restaurant industry. And then my brother and my dad started buying properties. My brother got his real estate license. I was like, I'm never going to be in real estate either. This is the next family business. Um, and Diego basically offered to pay for me to go to an event. So I was like, hey, sure, why not? Right? It was a free weekend with my brother. Me and my brother have always been super close, and at the time he was in college, or had just graduated college. So when he moved and went to college and then moved away from after college, I didn't really see him that much. So I was like, hey, free weekend with my brother, let's do it. And at that event, just my whole life changed. I was just exposed to passive income and active income and wealth, and how attainable success is if you're learning from successful people. And at that event, I met David Green, David Osborne, Hal Elrod was the keynote speaker. And it just 2 weeks after that event, I dropped out of college, basically. Um, I just got the bug, right? I just got the bug, and I was reading all these books. I was reading Rich Dad Poor Dad, Richest Man in Babylon, How to Win Friends and Influence People. And I had learned more in like 2 weeks after that event, like for me personally, than I have in my entire life. And I was just like, man, I need to go all in. So I started going to events, right? Real estate events. And because of my brother's connections, I was able to attend high level mastermind events where I was a volunteer at, right? So Diego knew about these high level events, and they always need helping hands. So Diego was just like, dude, you're going to go to this event and you're going to volunteer, and you're just going to do whatever they tell you. You're going to just, if they need you to run to the store and pick up Advil, you're going to run to the store and pick up Advil. If they need you to drive somebody to the airport, you drive somebody to the airport. And so I wanted to go, but that week was like my final exams in my second year in college. So I was about to get my AA degree, and I had the decision to either I remember this is like literally 2 weeks right after I went to the first event ever. And before that, I was just like, I'm never going to be in real estate. I'm just going to have a free weekend with my bro. And I was just like, screw it. I'm going to miss my exams. Only one teacher let me take it afterwards. Everybody else I just failed. And then at that event, I met a ton of successful individuals that I asked them to let me shadow them for a day, right? Because I didn't know what I wanted to do in life. And that was the first time that I realized I know nothing about money or success or drive or whatever, right? I needed to find out what was out there really. And I just started shadowing these successful individuals. Some own title companies, some were realtors, some were fix and flippers. And I did this all over the country, right? And I would pay on my own dime, on my own time. And I got to shadow a lot of successful people. And one of the guys that I got to shadow was in St. Augustine, and he knew a little bit about wholesaling. And I wanted to get into wholesaling because my goal was to sell my brother and my dad a property. And I just wanted to make 10 grand off of my brother and my dad. That was like my biggest goal. And I started working for this guy. I told him, hey, I'm going to drop out of school, and just tell me what to do, and I will work for you for free, right? And my goal was to work to learn before I worked to earn. And that was my path. He luckily said, sure, let's do it, right? And the reason he said yes is he just saw my drive. right? I was just fearless. I wasn't scared to get on the phone. I wasn't scared to go door knock. I just knew that I didn't know anything, and the only way I was going to learn was just by taking action. Um, and that's kind of what got me into the game, right? I just started shadowing this guy, doing everything that I could for his business. He was a successful real estate broker. I was kind of heading up the wholesale investment thing. And then that just kind of took off for like 2 years. And I started doing a ton of deals with him. And I basically managed the team in Jacksonville. And then I broke off on my own, started Cash Geeks. And that's basically my journey in a nutshell.
Yeah. And Gonzalo, really quick, right now you with your company, you have how many employees and how many VAs?
I have 17 in-house employees and 8 virtual assistants.
8 virtual assistants. So, and that's been since you created this company. How many years has that been?
This May was 4 years.
4 years. Cool. Now, one thing that I do want to do is I want to take it back, just because there are a couple of things that my brother shared, right? But that is super important, because when he had the choice to leave, like to go to that event, to basically volunteer for 5 days, work for free, or take his finals at college, it's a choice that when I told my brother, I was like, Gonzalo, this is an opportunity of a lifetime that you're probably not gonna, I cannot give that to you again, because I don't know if when's the next time that they're gonna do an event 2 hours from here, right, in Florida. But I told him, you can always go back to college. You can always retake these classes. So he said, okay, I'm gonna go to that event. The next call that I got was from my mom. And she was telling me, what are you telling Gonzalo? Why you're telling him to quit college or to not take his finals and this and that? But I told my mom, I was like, look, trust me, this is going to be a great opportunity. And my brother just trusted that. But then my parents also had to trust me and trust my brother that this would be a good opportunity. And then it just went from there, right? But he also had the guts to tell the people, hey, let me shadow you, let me work for free. One thing that Osborne always says is like, you should only work for 2 things, equity or knowledge. And that is, Gonzalo, as you work to learn, I feel like that's something that you definitely took into account. And the other thing too, Gonzalo, is that you work for free Monday through Friday in Jacksonville or in St. Augustine, and then you would drive back to Sarasota, work at the restaurant Friday night or like Saturday, Sunday, and then go back to St. Augustine because you were not getting paid for like 6 months or however long it was. So it's sort of like that sacrifice, you know?
Yeah. So I didn't get paid. I refused to get paid, honestly, in the beginning because I didn't want a position or a job in the business, right? I knew that if I started to get paid, I had to earn that pay, right? And I couldn't just do things that didn't really require pay, kind of like Diego says. Like I don't want to, sometimes in the beginning, I didn't want to be making phone calls. I wanted to be out at lunch with my mentor and listening to his conversation with his business partner, right? And if I had a job under his business, I wouldn't have had that opportunity, right? Because my role is to produce whatever. So Diego's 100% right. I would work at my parents' restaurant every weekend. I did that for like a year and a half. And it was a 3-hour drive every single weekend. So Fridays after work, I drive to Bradenton. Saturday and Sunday, work on the weekends. And then Sunday night, leave late after work all day. I'd make like, I'd make like $200 to $250 a week in tips. Sometimes more depending on the season. And that was how I just paid my bills. And luckily, he my mentor, Pete, owned a duplex, and one side was unoccupied. Like it was just like a furnished, unoccupied side. So he let me stay in one side, and it was fun, man. It was fun. I learned a lot. But yeah, like I put myself in situations where I did not, and keep in mind, I had the opportunity, so I took advantage of that, right? Not a lot of people have the opportunity of making living off of, 500 to $1,000 a month, right? I know that I was blessed to have that opportunity, and I had to take advantage of it. I couldn't try to immediately jumpstart into wholesaling or started to do deals. I knew that I had to take a step back because I could, right? Because I was 18, I was 19. So I was like, the next 2 years of my life need to be my college. I haven't finished college yet. I'm still learning. I'm still figuring out, and I've learned stuff, man, from people that stick with me till this day. People that aren't in wholesaling, and that I shadowed 6 years ago, and I still remember all those lessons that they taught me. Yeah.
So out of curiosity, Gonzalo, if someone's listening to this and they're like, holy crap, like Gonzalo had that one opportunity and he like took action. Some people are saying, oh, well, I'll never have that opportunity, or that could never happen to me. What actionable steps would you consider, or would you tell someone that wants to be a wholesaler and a big one at that? Would you give them to say, hey, these are some of the steps that you can take to start wholesaling in the next 6 to 9 months?
Are you talking about like finding a mentor and stuff like that, or?
I don't know. What would you say? I walk into your office and I'm like, hey, Gonzalo, dude, I am hungry. I want to start wholesaling. Can you help me out? Give me a plan. What do I do?
Yeah. So number one, I mean, you need to know your stuff, right? There's so much free information right now. Like, the reason why my mentor took me in was because I knew everything about wholesaling. Like, I stayed up day and night, all day, researching the new programs, the different scripts, the different things to do. And I was an action taker, right? So I didn't wait for him to point me in the direction of doing something. I would just figure it out and mess up, right? So if somebody's coming to my office, and they ask me that, I just ask them, like, what do you know about wholesaling, right? What do you know about pulling lists or getting leads or marketing, right? And if they say, I don't know anything, I just want to get into wholesaling, then, I can't really help out with that, because there's so much free information online, and podcasts like these, right, that you can just learn so much information online. So when you go to somebody and ask them for help and ask them for an opportunity, we're going to sense, is this person worth my time or not? Right? Because, dude, today somebody was at my office today, right? And the reason, I invited them to come into the office because I did a training, like a weekend ago, to a local real estate event, and I taught a bunch of people, and one person was just emailing me, right? And I say, when I am talking or doing events, I'm just like, hey guys, here's my email, reach out to me. Nobody ever does, right? Nobody ever does. And the few that do, he was just going back and forth on questions, and I would tell him, do this, and then an hour later he would email back like, hey, I did this, I did this, I did this, and now I can't figure this part out. And I'm like, you know what, dude, just come to the office for like an hour and I'll just walk you through all of it. But I was willing to do that because every single time I replied back to his email, he immediately took action and then got stuck in something else and then emailed me back for help, right? And at that point, it was just like, all right, I'm spending way too much time just emailing this dude back and forth. Just come to the office, I'll knock it out in like half an hour, right? And the reason we do that or give back to people like that is because they're taking action. I don't have time to, or anybody that's somebody that you want to learn from, they don't have time to teach you the ABCs of whatever you want to get into. You need to come in knowing that, right? And so that's my biggest advice that I would give to anybody that's looking for that opportunity or looking for that mentor or wants to be. You have to have the right mindset so that you can get the right opportunity. Because if you don't have the right mindset and you're given the opportunity, you're not going to even see that it's the opportunity that you need, right? You're not going to be ready for it.
I like that. You're not even going to see the opportunity if you are not prepared. That's really good. Now, that makes a lot of sense. So if somebody got the opportunity, they're ready to go, they're working on wholesaling, what's the difference between the wholesalers that are doing 1 or 2 deals a month, like myself, since we've talked, and then the people that are doing hundreds of $1,000s a month? Like, what would you say is the big difference there?
And Gonzalo, really quick, just for the audience, if they don't know about wholesaling, in a minute, explain what wholesaling is too.
Okay, perfect. So wholesaling is the business concept of any business, right? You buy low and then you sell high. Except in real estate, we just do that with houses, right? With investment properties. And the beauty about real estate is, since it's such a big purchase, right? You get an inspection period. And most purchases, you can't do that. If you want to do if you want to start a shoe company, if you want to start selling TVs, if you want to start whatever, and now there's, with different technologies or whatever, and drop shipping and stuff like that, we're basically like drop shipping houses in a way, right? You put something under contract, you put a property under contract, and in that contract, you have a inspection period, and inside of that inspection period, you find another buyer who's going to pay more for that property than what you have it under contract for. So I put a property under contract for $50,000. I find a cash buyer who's willing to pay $65,000. I take it to closing, and I get $15,000 at closing.
And there's usually enough money for that investor to later do a flip or keep it as a rental, do a BRRRR or something like that, right?
Correct. Yeah, your challenge as a wholesaler is to get the deal cheap enough so that you can make money, and sell the deal cheap enough so that your investor makes money as well. Yeah, because that's our client, right? As a wholesaler, your client is very rarely a retail buyer. FHA, you can't even mess with FHA, conventional retail buyers. So they're cash investors, and they're buying opportunities. That's what we present. We present opportunities, and that's what they're buying. Yep.
I like that. Now, to go back to Felipe's question, Felipe, was your question was what takes the repeat your question, please.
Yeah, no problem. So great explanation, Gonzalo, on wholesaling. So what makes the difference between a wholesaler who does 1 or 2 deals a month, right? Quick 10K, it's not a bad month. Hell, anybody would appreciate that. To go to that next level, right? And then additionally, if you don't mind telling us, what is the average wholesale price that people make, I guess you could say. But definitely what separates those who do 1 or 2 deals to those that really scale a business.
Cool. So people typically are making, it varies in your market, but I would say around 10 grand is a typical wholesale fee. My average this year is 11,000 per deal. So the difference is, number one, is full-time or part-time, right? Most people doing a couple of deals a month versus people that are doing a ton of deals a month they're probably not living and breathing wholesaling every day, all day, right? They either have a full-time job, and then they're trying to do wholesaling on the side on the weekends and stuff like that, right? So that realistically is going to turn your business upside down. If you're putting 8 to 10 hours a day for 6 days a week in wholesaling, and compared to somebody who's putting in 3 hours a day, you're running laps around these people, right? Because they're just putting in 3 hours a day, 20 to 25 hours a week. People are putting in 40 to 60 hours a week in wholesaling. So that right there, you're destined to do more deals, right? And then number 2 is reinvesting in your business. Most people that are doing hundreds of thousands of dollars a month, or even 6 figures a month, are spending more money in their business than the people that are doing 1 to 2 deals a month.
And when you say that, Gonzalo, too, you mean like creating systems and all of that stuff, or what do you mean by reinvesting in the business?
Mainly marketing, right? Everybody wants to start off as lean as possible, and I totally agree with that. But once you have some success, and it just depends on what you want to do, right? For some people, they want wholesaling to be an avenue of income and an avenue of things that they do with their real estate career, and that's okay, right? But if you want to go all in wholesaling, and that's your one avenue that you want to do, then you need to spend money in marketing heavier than people who are doing one deal a month, two deals a month, right? Most people that are not doing multiple, 5 to 10 deals a month or more is because they're not reinvesting into the marketing side of their business. They're trying to close deals from the same leads that from the same batch that they close that 1 to 2 deals with, right? And they're trying to cycle through those leads, or they want to spend as little as possible in marketing, and that's okay. All right, whatever works for you is what will continue to work for you. But we're spending 30 grand a month, 30 to 40 grand a month in marketing, right? So yeah.
Good. Yeah, I like that. So the difference between those that do 1 or 2 deals and those that are doing hundreds of thousands of dollars comes down to, sounds like, marketing. And are you doing this full time? Are you all in on wholesaling?
Correct.
At what point did you say, I'm going to do this all in? I'm not going for the 1 or 2 deals anymore. And what did that mindset shift look like?
That's a good question. So my career is a little bit odd, right? I was working for, and this is something else that I was going to bring up, like, yo, go work for a wholesale company. Like, find a wholesale company, work for them for like 2 years. You might never leave. You might just love it and just, continue working there. But that's also how you freaking learn. Like, that's how I got in the game, right? Because through my mentor, I got connected to a wholesaler out of Atlanta, and I basically ran their Jacksonville department. And through that, I got exposed to a lot of deals, and I was working for a wholesale business basically. And, I was commission based, but I was essentially, just a commission based employee in a way, selling wholesale properties for them. And so because of that exposure that I had, everybody wants to get into wholesaling because they think it's a good avenue to make a little bit of money so that I can one day get into my fix and flip business, right? That's like the typical path. All right, I wholesale, then I start flipping, making the bigger amounts of money, and then from flipping, then I can start buying rentals and I have my passive income. So because I was working for a wholesale business, I got exposed to seeing what a team of wholesalers can do, and the amount of money and the amount of revenue that a team of wholesalers can do, right? And I did flips, right? And I did flips, and I did not like it. Wholesaling it's a sales game, and I didn't realize I loved sales as much as I do, right? I didn't realize how much I love a call center environment and just closing deals over the phone, and just, like that thrill of like, I just put a freaking property under contract that I've never seen, and I'm about to make 30 grand on this thing, right? And then immediately selling it that same day to another buyer, and you just lock up 30 grand. You're just like, holy, what just happened? Like, that is awesome, right? To me, I don't get the thrill of walking through a property and, I want to put the kitchen in here, and we're going to tear down this wall, and like, I don't even want to walk the property, right? Like my thrill and my passion didn't come from taking an ugly property and making it into this beautiful thing. That's just not what I wanted. So I was able to see wholesaling done at scale. So I knew it was attainable. I knew somebody can wholesale 5 to 10 deals a month because I was a part of it, right? And as I was doing it, I was just like, man, we just made, and this was 2015, 2016. So like wholesale deals, we weren't making 30 deals or 30 grand a deal. Back then, especially in Jacksonville, because your wholesale deals, believe it or not, correlate to the price point of your properties, right? It's very hard to make 50 grand on a $50,000 property, right? You're not going to get a $30,000 fee on a $30,000 piece of crap in the hood of Jacksonville, right? You start doing an $800,000 property, you're more likely to make 50 grand on that deal, right? Than on a $150,000 property. So back then the prices were way lower. Like the average price point of the houses in Jacksonville was like 170 grand. It's gone up tremendously. But I saw that we were doing, 5 deals, and hey, this is making, 15, 20, 30 grand a month, 40 grand a month, this team. And I was like, man, like I can put a deal together right now because my job was dispositions. I was selling the properties. And so that buyer's list is powerful, man. And I didn't realize it until I had a buyer that was forcing me to find properties because they needed to deploy a certain amount of money in a certain amount of time. And I didn't have the inventory through my company. And that was a breakthrough moment for me because the first thing that I did was I went to another wholesaler because he had a property that he was trying to sell and it just fit my buyer's numbers. And I was like, yo, I will add 2 grand onto your deal and I'll sell it to my guys. And he was like, hell yeah, let's do it. So I made 2 grand on that deal and I had never found the seller or anything. And that opened me up to like, okay, I have this buyer. Let me start looking for more deals. So I was like selling FSBOs for sale by owner on Zillow. My wife is a realtor, so we were looking for deals on the MLS, and it just opened up my horizons on like, dude, this is something, right? Most people are like getting into wholesaling. You're chasing the deal, and that is obviously what you need to do, and you need to get started. But once you have a great buyers list, you can really leverage that. And having
let's talk about that. Explain what a buyer's list is. How does somebody grow that? So let's say, okay, I'm basically creating a story here, right? So I came into your office. You told me, I told you, hey, what do I need to do to get started wholesaling? You started telling me. I started taking action on those steps. Got my first property under contract because I used PropStream like you told me to. And I cold called, 500 people in the first day, and I got a property under contract. How do I get a good buyer's list? How does that work?
Yeah, so at that point, I would just immediately post that thing on Facebook. Post it in Facebook groups and post it in the Facebook marketplace. That's the best ROI for your time because posting a deal takes 30 seconds. And the fact that you will get 5 to 10 buyers contact you, and then you post in another group, and you post in another group, and then you post in the Facebook marketplace. That is immediately what I would recommend. And you can do that literally in half an hour, right? It's insane. And we continue to sell properties through Facebook groups and Facebook posts. And then networking, right? So go to local meetups, go to local RIAs, go to meetup.com, look at what's in your area and attend everything and anything that there is about real estate. Get to know people there. And then I would call realtors, right? When you're looking at comparables in your area, you can look at the realtors that sold those properties and call those realtors. Realtors love off-market properties, and they love when they don't have to compete with other people, right? So once they hear it's off-market, they're like, oh, this is awesome, right? And then they're adding more value than any other realtor would be to their investor because they're connected with an off-market source of properties. And realtors have connections. If a buyer buys through realtors, they're typically not buying without their realtor, right? So what that means is, as a wholesaler, there are some buyers that I would never have access to, and I will never have access to. I just go through the realtor that has access to that buyer, and I just pay them commission on the deal. There's a lot of buyers that they're out of state or they're not in that local market, and they part of their team, everybody talks about building your team in real estate. You need your property manager, you need your realtor, you need this, you need that. Having a solid realtor for some people, that especially the ones that are not local, is very important. And they're the boots on the ground. They're the people that are looking at the comps and looking at the pictures and helping those buyers make the decisions. So we have a VIP cash buyers list, but we also have a VIP realtor list. We call them just as much as we call our cash buyers. So what I was getting at is, because I've done that for years, I've built up a massive buyers list. And because of the amount of volume that we do, we're able to build relationships with big buyers. And, the reason I'm still up right now, I literally just got home like 20 minutes before we started on this call, because I was at dinner with one of the biggest investors in Jacksonville, right? And we're just talking about doing more deals together, right? And they can't do those dinners with other wholesalers because they don't give them the volume that I give them. And so now what I'm doing to leverage that is I'm partnering up with other wholesalers. And I think like 12 deals last month were other wholesalers' deals. And we have access to buyers that they don't have access to, because we've just been doing this for years. And we have access to realtors that they would never contact, right? And not saying that they can't, they haven't been exposed to it. They don't have the deal volume. Deal volume, action creates traction, right? So if you do 100 deals a year, you will make way more connections than if you do 10 deals a year, right? The people that you become connected to and the people that you start meeting in the rooms that you get access to is because I'm doing 100 deals a year. It's not because I'm doing anything special. It's just once you start doing volume, you start to get invited to different things. You start to, you know what I mean? And that will create access to people that normal wholesalers just wouldn't have, unfortunately, right? And now that I'm realizing that, I'm just like, hey, I'll give you access to these people. Let's just work together. And, that's kind of what we're doing with you guys and stuff like that. So yeah, leveraging my buyers list is what's going to take us to the 3 mil this year.
So it sounds like, you said, so like, again, I'm painting a picture for our audience here. So it's investing, or it's learning first the lingo, learning what wholesaling is, just being available, then taking action. Once you take action, you need to reinvest that action, which in turn becomes money, into advertising, right? So invest in yourself, invest in your company. Don't just take the profits out. And then it sounds like the next step is to start creating a buyer's list. And then it sounds like the next step after that is relationships. It sounds like relationships is very important in what you're doing by networking with other individuals and then creating a chain to bring other wholesalers into that. They're getting you more sales as well. Even if you're doing half the deal, you're still JVing it with someone else. So it sounds like those are, as I'm listening to you talk, it sounds like those are the main 4 or 5 things that has really helped you scale. Is there something that I'm missing there that you think?
No, yeah, I'm happy you brought relationships, because that is a game changer. There's been, dozens and dozens of deals where, another wholesaler brings us the seller and then we sell it through a realtor. So we didn't even have the seller or the buyer, and we just make money in the middle because of our relationships and the connections that we have. So yeah, it's huge.
So what does it look like going forward for you now? Okay, so you got the relationships. What's like the next step aside from just money? Because it sounds like you know how to print money, right? But what's the next step in your business?
So 2 things. The next step in my business is creating leadership and putting people in charge to make decisions that I'm making on a daily basis, right? For example, I'll give you a quick example. Happened today. We have a property that's going to close tomorrow. Buyer did a final walkthrough today and they're backing out, right? So buyer's backing out of the deal and seller's expecting a close tomorrow. This happens. What do? Right? So in those situations, I'm the one that puts out those fires. I'm the one that calls the seller, right? Explains the situation. I'm so sorry, blah, 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 right? Calls the buyer, hardballs the buyer, right? Hey, you can't just back out, blah, 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 blah. What do we got to do? You know, is there a price that you will take it on? You know, like that. So I'm still very involved in when you're closing 32 deals a month or 34 deals a month we did. That means that in at a time, like right now we have 90 properties under contract, right? So with that comes headaches, right? With that comes issues, comes problems, comes fires that you don't realize. Like my day to day is wholesaling, but it's really just managing a wholesaling team, right? It's coaching the team on what to say to the seller, what to say to the buyer. So that's my next step is in increasing the business while working on the business, right? Which is tough to do, right? Because everybody says don't work in your business, work on your business. But if you don't work in your business, you're not going to make any money because all you're worried about is like, oh, I got to work on this script, and then I got to work on this logo, and I got to make this business card look pretty, and then I got to make my website. And then you're 6 months and you haven't even closed a freaking deal, right? So like you need to figure out how to work in your business and on your business, because in your business is how you're going to generate money. You don't get paid to work on your business, right? Unfortunately, I wish, but you don't. So that's where the after hours comes in. That's where the early morning weekend meetings comes in, right? That's where the weekends, everybody's off on the weekends. That's when you're planning and you're analyzing your business and you're creating the next step on the next role to hire. So that is our biggest challenge, is finding time to continue to work on the business while working in the business, because these are things that we're figuring out on a daily basis, right? I'm figuring out how to handle 30 closings a month, right? It's not just handling 30 closings a month is not the same as two people handling 15 closings each, right? It's not. It's just different fires. It's different situations. It's quadruple the amount of headaches, because you're learning, you're putting people in place now. I literally need to hire somebody that just QCs my business. Like that's literally like we're at the point where we just need to hire somebody that just looks through every single file and make sure everything is getting done, right? And pushing every deal to the next step. It's not about putting out a fire and that deal is just, okay, this deal's here. We got to call this person, right? Because time is money in wholesaling. And you don't realize it, but 1 to 2 days without taking action on a property at any point, you're losing time, and that will ruin the deal, right? You don't realize that. So when I have 3 disposition guys trying to sell 2 properties, cool, or 2 properties each, cool, right? But now they're trying to sell 6 properties each. So now it's like, all right, what do I got to put into place? Do I need to hire more people, or do I need to add more technology, add more tools?
What do you mean? What do you mean by time kills deals? Can you explain that?
Yeah. So, I mean, time kills deals where you talk to the seller and they're like, yeah, I'll sell you my property. 50,000 sounds great. Perfect. Okay. Awesome. I'll send you the contract tomorrow morning. We'll go over it and then we can get this all done. Okay, perfect. Sounds good. Call them the next morning. Hey, I changed my mind. I don't want to sell anymore. If you should have locked that up right there and then.
Yeah.
If you're taking the time to say, okay, cool, I'll do that in a little bit, or I'll do it tomorrow, you're done. You're done. Because that night, another wholesaler called them and said, oh, you're going to sell them for this? I'll give you one. It doesn't have to be any number, any crazy number. Sellers will dump your ass for $500. You offer them $100,000, you build this rapport, it's awesome. And then the next person calls and offers them, oh, they're giving you $100,000. I'll give you $101,000. Okay, send me the contract.
Done.
done, done, right? So and it happens every day, right? Because it's a small world here in Jacksonville. So we know, like, every once in a while we know we're competing with this guy on this property, because you show up and you see the other guy's car leave and you're like, oh, they were here, damn, I got to come correct or whatever, right? And we just know one of us is gonna get it, right? They're gonna go with somebody, and sometimes they don't go with us, and then they go with the other people. Or
Do you ever go to lunch or dinner with the other team, with the other wholesalers, and you guys are like, damn, did you get 123 Main Street? I know you did.
Well, my favorite thing right now that's happening, since we're JVing a lot, is like we'll go and like offer on a property, and then we don't get it, and then the wholesaler that did get it calls us to try to sell it. So like, oh, we at the end we did get it. We did get it.
That's awesome.
But yeah. So that's what I
Gonzalo,
mean. Time kills deals, right? Time kills
Gonzalo,
deals every single day. Sellers will change their mind 2 days before closing. I mean, you got to get these things gone, right? Because the last thing you want is a seller talking to a realtor. No offense, Diego, right? If Diego gets a contract, a lady calls him and is like, Diego, I'm thinking about selling my house. I got this offer. It's a cash offer for 170. I think I want to take it. Diego's gonna Zillow that property and be like, dude, you need to list this thing with me for 300. I will put it on the market right now. And then they'll be like, okay. And then they'll never call me back. So time kills
yeah,
deals. And it
time
every
kills
deal.
deals,
Happens
and
every deal.
quickness to for you to take action and lock the deals up. That's for sure. Gonzalo, question here: Has there been any? Has there been at any point, because you started when you were 19, like you're talking to adults, you're hiring people, you're doing a lot of things that potentially not many 20-year-olds were doing or has had that experience. Have you ever thought about that, like, oh, I'm too young to do this, or hey, I should be older to actually be talking and like hiring people that are twice my age, stuff like that?
So no, I never really felt that. Um, in the beginning, talking to sellers, um, obviously sellers could tell that I was super young. So I just used the excuse that it was just family money. I just told everybody I had a rich ass dad. It's just, this is the family business. We've been in real estate since my grandpa's time. And, I'm going to take over the family business. And they loved it, right? They're like, oh,
Uh-huh.
yeah, that's awesome, right? Um,
Yeah.
so I just said that in the beginning, and I used that all the time. But I never really had the limiting belief, luckily, of just being too young.
Hmm.
And the reason is because I'm just educated, right? I educate myself. I'm smarter than the people that I'm hiring. I'm smarter in certain things, right? I'm hiring these people for a reason, right? So um, I never really felt that. I just knew that I had to me, like, competence wins over age
Hmm.
any time, right?
Yeah.
Doesn't matter what age you are. As soon as you guys start exchanging words, you will know who is more competent than the other, right?
Hmm.
Um, and it might not be overall, but it might be in the industry that you're in, or in the specific role that you're looking to hire, or in the specific um, situation and environment that you're in. You can tell who's more competent than the other person. And once they feel that, and once you start to portray that, doesn't matter your age, doesn't matter how old you are or whatever. So I mean, just get educated, right? Competence creates confidence, and confidence is what overcomes, like, that thought of, oh, I'm too young, oh, I'm too young, or whatever, or I don't know
Hmm.
enough, I don't have enough experience in this. Just, it's because you're not competent in that. The more you know, the more confident you'll be in it, and then and then you're good. You'll never have limiting beliefs again. It's that easy.
I love the confidence that you have. I love that you've been doing this for so long. I love that you're so young and crushing it in what you're doing. And I love that your willingness to help. I've done an event with you and you've given out more value than I even expected you to give out. I mean, you gave out your whole business plan to anyone so that they could redo it. Right. So I think that's super, super epic. And I know we probably want to do another event like that. I guess before we let you go, I know we've took up some of your time here, but what are some final thoughts that you would tell someone that wants to get into wholesaling and really do it full time and make good money at it, clearly like you have?
Yeah. So number one, I would say get involved, right? The kind of like you said, just being under the radar, right? As far as like on social media and stuff like that. It's what you're worried about, like pulling lists and marketing this property and all that, but you don't realize what you're missing out by not putting yourself out there, right? And so what I mean by that is get involved in your local real estate community, right? Every community has one, whether it's a RIA or a meetup or a realtor group or whatever. Like, if you're not going to real estate events on a weekly basis, you are not going to maximize your real estate career. You're not going to make the connections that will slingshot your business. You don't realize that the few connections that you make, the few that I've met hundreds and hundreds and thousands of people, and I still do business with probably 30 to 40 people, you know what I mean, out of the thousands that I've met. So you don't realize that one event, that one little lunch that you go to with 6 people there, the one person that you meet, you will continue to do business with for the rest of your real estate career. And you don't realize how powerful that is. And most people don't go to that lunch because there's only 6 people there, and I got this to do, and I'm just not gonna go. I'll go to the next one, right? And the person that was gonna make you $1 million over the next 3 years was sitting at that lunch, and you just totally missed out. And now who knows where you're gonna do now, right? And then there's another event, and then the other person that was gonna do this was there, and you never met them, right? And then maybe you caught on late, and after 2 years you start going to events and you're like, hey, dude, where have you, like, I should have met this person 2 years ago. Well, if you would have been at that event, you would have met them 2 years ago, right? So that's like my biggest piece of advice. Like, everybody asks me what makes my business different or what, in the market and stuff like that, is because, dude, I have my own meetup, and I've been going to real estate meetups since I was freaking 18 in Jacksonville, right? And I've been showing up every event for the past 6 years. And because of that, I start teaching classes. I start, getting involved. I start volunteering. And so that has set up my business here locally. And that's why we had a challenge going into outside markets. It's because it was hard to recreate that. It was hard to recreate the community that I have in Jacksonville in other markets. Not because it isn't there, is because I don't have the time to be at every event in other markets. And that is where you have to sacrifice, right? Because most of the time the events are after hours, right? They're on the weekends. They're late at night. They're during family time. They're during dinners, and that's where it's tough, right? And that's where luckily I had the opportunity, and I had the advantage of being young and the ability to, only live and breathe real estate for like all my early 20s, still till now, so yeah, get involved. That's going to really change up everything. And you don't realize it. And I didn't realize it until now. Like, I'm just realizing now what has really made my business what it is, because people always ask me. I'm trying to think, oh, it was hard work, oh, it was focus, oh, it was reinvesting in the business, oh, it was this, and it was all that. But the one thing that I never really talk about is how involved I am in my community, in the real estate community. How well known I walk into a room, everybody knows me, right? I walk into the room, people come up to me, oh, dude, I've been waiting to meet you. You know, like everybody tells me, like, go see Gonzalo from Cash Geeks because you got the deals, man. I'm looking for a flip deal. You know, I'll just get random emails. Yo, somebody gave me your card. They said you're the guy to go to for deals or whatever, right? And that's just because I've shown up for the past 6 years, every single event, and I'm there, and I'm working the event. I'm helping the event. I get there early. I help set up the room. You know, I break down, and this is what I did for years and years and years. And yeah, so that's one thing that I really don't ever really talk about that much. But I want to put that out there.
I like that a lot. Yeah, that's some good stuff. Diego, any last words?
Any last words? No, I'm very happy that we got to do this, learn from him. I've been seeing it, of course, from like the back end, seeing it from like the moment that he called me back in 2014. It's like, Diego, I'm lost. I need to do something else. I want to do what you're doing a little bit, like see what you're learning, and fast forward to years of taking action, and of course a sacrifice, just like he was saying. But at the end of the day, it has paid off. And I think it started with a mindset. It started connecting with the mentors, starting to just showing up, even when other people would say no. So yeah, I'm just very, very happy that we got this opportunity. And yeah, cool.
Yeah, no, I think it's awesome. Gonzalo, where can people find out more about you? Where can people that are interested in wholesaling reach out to you?
Yeah, so you can reach out to me on Instagram, Real Gonzalo Corzo. Add me on Facebook. I have a Facebook group.
What's the name of the Facebook group?
Cash Geeks Network.
Cash Geeks Network. And you have a interview every Tuesday, right?
Yep, every Tuesday night, except for the second Tuesday of every month. I have a live meetup on the second Tuesday of every month here in Jacksonville. So if anybody's in Jacksonville, you can come meet me, hang out. Usually have a guest speaker. I have a probate attorney talking at the next live meetup that I'm doing. So yeah.
And if anyone has any deals in Jacksonville, they can reach out to me first, and then I'll connect them with you so that I can get some of that, right? Is that kind of how that works?
That's exactly it, dude.
But first go Felipe, then Diego, then Gonzalo, because the big bro needs a little piece, you know.
Of course.
All right.
Awesome, Gonzalo.
Thank you so much for being on the show, dude. Honestly, it was a pleasure to have you.
Always a pleasure. Thank you, guys.
The Rat Race to 5 podcast, where we discuss money, mindset, real estate investing, and ways to achieve financial independence. Whether you are a rookie or a veteran needing new ideas for investing or creating side hustles, you're in the right place.